Hi there, it's Chloe from the Riverscapes Assessment and Monitoring Laboratory, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing some ArcPro symbology tips to hopefully make the curation process smoother, go over some roadblocks that I run into, and how I address them. Now, the first tip I have is if you're looking at the symbology pane, in the bottom half here, there's this More dropdown and the Format All Symbols option. So this opens a pane where you can define formatting for all of the symbols. So what I usually am editing here is size or outline width. So since all of the IGOs have uh, no outline, I can set that to 0. Thinking about applying it for all of these. Sometimes it can be kind of slow. Okay, I just had to wait for it to update, but you can see here, should be reflected across all of the symbols if there's no outline, or if I choose to increase the symbol size, it'll reset to showing the first symbol. I can scroll through and see that it applies for all the symbols. So I'm going to click apply, and then I can back out of here to get back to the main level of symbology editing. And you can see here that all of my symbols have been edited to reflect the choices I made. Okay, next we're going to go over how to get classes or add classes that are not available currently. So I foreshadowed this a little bit in the basics video, but if I'm trying to recreate this unsuitable or limited opportunities layer, I can see in the symbology that already exists, there are more categories not showing up here in my symbology pane. And if I click this plus button, I can see there's not more values to add. So I'm going to have to actually manually add the missing values to the attribute table. So this is necessary usually for categorical symbology, but also for graduated symbology. If you don't have any values that are your minimum value in your attribute table, you'll also have to manually edit uh, at least one cell in the attribute table to have your minimum value. And I'll just show you what it looks like for categorical, and you can do the same thing for graduated symbology. So it takes a couple of steps. You're not able to edit attribute table directly. So if we're looking at this limitation category. So if I wanted to just edit this one so that, let's see, which one are we missing? We're missing anthropogenically limited. So if I just wanted to, hopefully I'm spelling this correctly. If I hit enter, it says it failed to update this table. So to get around that, we're going to have to export our layer as a feature class. So we do that like this, right click your layer, and then hover over data, and then export features. So it will pull up this pane, automatically populate the layer that you were clicking on, and then I would give it a new name. Don't move it from your project's default geodatabase. Keep it in the same location. It can cause problems if you move it somewhere else. I don't know why, but it does. So I usually just give it a suffix like edited. And if you're doing this for multiple layers, sometimes this fields drop down will stay populated with the layers from the recent, like most recent time you did export features. If you go through the process and you're looking at the attribute table and it's not matching up to what you're supposed to see, it could be because these fields were not updated. So if you click these 3 lines and hit reset and then yes, it will make sure that the fields that are here are pulling from this input feature. So I gave it a name. I left it in the default geodatabase, so I'm going to hit OK. Okay, so here's my edited example. I'm going to open up the attribute table. And here is limitation. I'm just going to sort this. And I can look here and see which ones I'm missing and just edit these features manually. So and I just hit enter and it didn't give me an error. Anytime you're editing something like this, you're going to need to switch to this edit tab up in the top and hit save at yes to make sure that these edits are actually saved. And it'll be reflected now when I hit this plus button. Now anthropogenically limited is an option. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to quickly add the other categories in. All right, there were only two more to add: potential reservoir or land use change and naturally vegetation limited. Be really careful when you're doing this to make sure you're typing things exactly as they should be. It's case sensitive, and we want to make sure that the symbology is accurate. So now that I've added those other two, I can select both of these, add them, and then get working on editing the symbology. Okay, this next tip has to do with adjusting the number of classes. So since we've done some work on this graduated example, this classes dropdown is actually grayed out. There's nothing I can do to change the number of classes, at least right here. Now, I only figured this out recently, but when you right click on any of your classes, you can insert a break. So I guess if I click on this one, you can see insert a break above or insert a break below. So let's do that. Let's insert another break. So it just kind of adjusted that automatically, but that's how to add an additional class. And if I wanted to just remove that one, I can do that. The next tip also has to do with graduated symbology. Let's edit. I'm going to edit these legend labels so that they're accurate, and then I'll show you kind of the roadblock and a new tip. Then we have the labels done. Say I decided that actually I want this class to be from 15 to 20, not to 25. If I edit this to 20, all of the labels get reset. It's really unfortunate. I've made this mistake many times where I have, made a mistake here in these values. I've had to change them, but I've already updated the labels. So the tip here is just check and double check your upper values before you start editing labels, because once you edit one of these values, the labels will be reset to their default. Those are all the tips that I have to share for right now. Hopefully, these will help you when you're going through curation and you run into something. You are not alone. There are many headaches that come from using ArcPro. So you're going to have to be patient and also be persistent. Hopefully, this is helpful.